Hello, today I'll be unboxing and giving you a first look at the ASUS ROG STRIX B860-I gaming Wi-Fi, which is a mini ITX motherboard compatible with Intel's 200 series Core Ultra processors. So let's go ahead and get it unboxed and take a closer look at it. So this is everything that comes in the box with our motherboard. So we've got our quick start guide, some information on ASUS web storage, and some ROG stickers and an ROG keychain. We've got the antenna for our Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4. We've got two SATA data cables. We've got a USB 2-to-1 splitter cable, so you're going to be able to plug this end into your motherboard and have two USB 2.0 headers coming from it. We've got a front panel connector extension cable. So you're going to plug your front panel connectors into this cable and then plug this header into your motherboard. We've got some cable ties, we've got some accessories for mounting our M.2 SSD, we've got a Q latch, a standoff and screw, and a module mounting kit. Taking a closer look at the motherboard, and at the bottom we've got our Gen 5x16 slot. It's good to see this slot is reinforced and it features ASUS's Q-Release Slim technology, which means to remove your graphics card all you need to do is pull it from the left hand side to remove it from the slot. Just above the PCIe slot we've got our HD audio and a USB 2.0 port, whereas at the lower left edge we've got a temperature sensor header. Working up the right hand side of the motherboard, first of all we've got 4 SATA ports, followed by a forward facing USB Type A 5 gigabit per second port. We've then got our front panel Type C port, and it will support speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. And then we've got our system panel header where you're going to plug in your front panel connectors. Just above this we've got our 24-pin power connector, and at the top right of the motherboard we've got our debug LEDs, which you'll find useful if you need to troubleshoot the motherboard. Working along the top of the motherboard we've got a start button, followed by two 3-pin 5V ARGB connectors. We've then got our AIO pump, CPU fan and chassis fan headers. At the top left of the motherboard we've got a single 8-pin EPS power connector. The motherboard features a 10+1+2+1 power phase design, and you can see we've got really beefy heatsinks over the VRM, and these are connected up with a heat pipe. In the middle of the motherboard we've got our LGA 1851 socket and standard mounting holes. The motherboard has 2 RAM slots and it will accommodate up to a maximum of 128GB of DDR5 at up to 9066 plus megatransfers per second overclocked. The motherboard has 2 M.2 slots. The first one is in the front of the motherboard behind the large heatsink. It is a Gen 5x4 slot, and securing your M.2 SSD should be really straightforward using ASUS's Q-Latch technology. Our second M.2 slot is on the back of the motherboard, and it is a Gen 4x4 slot, and you're going to secure your drive here using the included screw. Taking a look at our rear I/O, first of all we've got DisplayPort and HDMI ports. We've got 2 USB Type-C ports. The top one is a Thunderbolt 4 port, whereas the bottom one is a USB 20 gigabit per second port. We've got 6 USB Type-A ports. There's a single red 10 gigabit per second port. We've got 3 blue 5 gigabit per second ports, and the 2 black ports are USB 2.0 ports. In terms of connectivity, we've got a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, and we've got the antenna points for our Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4. Just above these we've got a clear CMOS jumper, and at the bottom of the motherboard we've got our audio connectors, which consists of SPDIF out, line out and mic in. The audio codec used is the ALC 1220p, and the motherboard does support Dolby Atmos. So this does look to be a really solid mini ITX motherboard. I love the fact that it's not really built up over that M.2 SSD heatsink, so you still should be able to fit a large air cooler on it, and cooling in terms of the VRM looks to be excellent. In terms of this being a more budget orientated B860 chipset, there doesn't seem to really be an awful lot of limitations. Although the front Type-C port is limited to 10 gigabits per second, on the back of the motherboard you've got a 20 gigabit per second port as well as a Thunderbolt 4 port, so it shouldn't be a big issue. The only additional thing that I would like to have included in this motherboard is a BIOS flashback button. So as I'm recording this well before launch, I don't have any information on pricing just yet, but when it's available I will put links to the motherboard in the description so you can click on these and find out how much it's going to cost. So looking forward to getting this into my next mini ITX build on the channel. If you have enjoyed this unboxing overview, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well.